Order, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Jeffrey?
Present.
Brubaker?
Here.
Kimmons?
Present.
Kaiser? Lucas?
Here.
Thank you. Everyone has a copy of the agenda for this evening. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Minutes from the last meeting would be in the council packet. Are there any corrections to the minutes from the last council meeting? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Motion and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving up to ordinances and resolutions. Number 2, a resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a task orders number 17 and 18 with Bartlett and West Incorporated. That's where it be read for consideration.
All right, there's a motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into task orders numbered 17 and 18 with Bartlett and West Inc., supplementing a master agreement dated March 3, 2020 to study sidewalk installation along North Morley Street and Gratz Brown Street. Sorry.
Okay. Any discussion? Just to clarify, Mr. Sanders, North Morley from where to where?
Be from basically the north side of Highway 24 down to Coat Street. Basically, the goal is to mirror what we did on the other side with the cost share in the past from Coat Street there all the way out to Highway 24. But it'd be breaking it down in phases. They're manageable under the TAP program.
I guess there's so many applications toward the TAP that in my mind, is this the best sequence when we have other that we're still waiting to get? Like, don't we have that on, or do we already get approval for Morley South, and then that's going to start? Or are we still waiting on?
We have approval for the cost share on Morley from Burkhart down to Carpenter. Yes, thank you. And that piece is already approved and in the works, and that's signed. That's down the road, and then we have to do the sidewalks in conjunction with other phases of that, but that wouldn't get into the TAP program. That's not a big enough pool of funds. Maximum cap on the TAP program is $500,000, and that's it on the tasks that are coming up down there.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
When we spend the money on these, do we get reimbursed when we get the grant?
What we do is we pay in front and then get reimbursed on the end 80%. So, or however we have it set up, it might be sometimes 79, 21. We vary those.
I meant for the expense of the study, or to pay them, or the company that we're paying.
The study that we're doing right now is not part of this grant program at all. The study we're doing right now is to analyze those two areas. For example, Gratz Brown we've looked at in the past and got turned down because the residents in that area in the past didn't want that. But so we're looking at having them recommend which side makes the most sense for having sidewalks on the east or west side of Gratz Brown, tie into the trail systems.
I see.
And then break it down into pieces that can be manageable. $5,000, $100,000 cap program.
Gotcha. I didn't know if that could be included in the cost of the grant.
No, it can't.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution is passed. Number 3, resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution of the City of Moberly, Missouri, authorizing an application to the Emergency Management Performance Grant Direct Assistance Program and ask that it be read once for consideration and passage.
All right, you've heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution of the City of Moberly, Missouri, authorizing an application to the Emergency Management Performance Grant Direct Assistance Program.
All right, you've heard the reading of the resolution. Is there any further discussion? Anything you want to add, Chief? All right. Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution is passed. Moving to number 4, resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution accepting the bid of Cogent Incorporated for the Northeast Lift Station Controller replacement and authorizing the city manager to purchase the replacement. Ask for it to be read for consideration.
Right. Heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution accepting the bid of Cogent Inc. for the Northeast Lift Station Controller replacement and authorizing the city manager to purchase the replacement.
All right, you've heard the reading of the resolution. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution is passed. Number 5, a resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution authorizing submission of a Transportation Alternative Program grant application for sidewalk construction along a portion of North Morley. Ask that it be read once for consideration and passage.
All right, you've heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution authorizing submission of a Transportation Alternative Program grant application for sidewalk construction along a portion of North Morley.
All right, you've heard the reading of the resolution. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution is passed. Moving on to number 6, a resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution approving a lease agreement with Accelerate LLC for property located at the Omar N. Bradley Airport and authorizing the city manager to execute the lease. Ask for it to be read for consideration.
All right, heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution approving a lease agreement with Excel Air 8 LLC for property located at the Omar N. Bradley Airport and authorizing the city manager to execute the lease.
All right, you've heard the reading of the resolution. Any further discussion? Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It's got 3 votes. Moving on to number 7, a resolution.
Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution appropriating money out of the treasury of the city of Moberly, Missouri in the amount of $610,416.70. Ask that it be read once for consideration of passage.
All right, you've heard the motion for the reading of the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? First and only reading.
A resolution appropriating money out of the treasury of the city of Moberly, Missouri in the amount of $610,416.70.
All right, for the reading of the resolution, any further discussion? I hereby certify that there is sufficient money standing to the credit of the city of Moberly, Missouri, unappropriated in the several funds covered by this resolution to meet the requirements of this resolution submitted to Gregory L. Hodge, City Treasurer. Any further discussion? Once again, hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries and the resolution passes. So we'll move on now to department head reports. And we'll open that up to questions of any of those respective reports.
I had a few questions.
Mr. Brubaker.
Greg, when I was looking through this on the City of Moberly Health Plan Trust, I was looking at the balance sheet. It shows a current of approximately 153,000.
Mhm.
And this time, this was as of year end, excuse me, December 31st. But as of the 31st of previous year was 417,000. So we're looking at a negative 264,000 approximately difference, 63% change.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
This has been a really tough couple of months for claims. So to give you an idea, last month, November, there was basically $198,000 in claims. For December, $286,000. So we've blown through a ton of money here just in 2 months. There's been some major claims. We haven't received our reinsurance reimbursements yet. From what I've seen, I believe we're only going to get reimbursement on one of those, and that will be about $85,000 or $90,000.
But which that's good that we're going to get reimbursed
Yes.
on that. How are we looking though going forward? With that balance.
We had our first claims run here for January, and it was back down to what I would call more normal. About $8,000, $9,000. So we normally run about $10,000 a week during the first 3 quarters of the year until participants start meeting their deductibles and having other procedures done.
I didn't know if we were going to have to be looking at taking money from the general fund.
I don't believe so. I think we're okay for right now. So typically the reimbursements take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks to come in. So we're out. Let's see that one big one in December that hit on the week of the 22nd. So we're probably still about a month out from getting that money.
Okay. And then on page 78 of our packet, this is the profit and loss statement regarding the health plan trust.
Uh-huh.
Under employee contributions, it was showing 126,000, whereas last year it was almost 174,000. So the difference is 47,000 less, 27% less.
Mm-hmm. And I believe what the major cause of that is Matt does not have a chance to get that money transferred across between bank accounts. So we do have the money sitting in another account. He's just been tied up with the Cassell software, all that conversion, and getting a bunch of analysis and setup done
So
on that.
this is will look more realistic when he gets time to transfer.
Yeah. Because typically each month there's about there's in between $15,000 and $20,000 that come. So I think there's a couple of months there that are pent up.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And then you want me to keep going, or you want me to give someone else?
Go right ahead.
Chief Link. I was looking at the one report showing all the different calls that you all make and various things you have to do. Anyway, when I look at the 2022 totals under DWI,
Yes, sir.
it shows 1.
Yes, sir.
So is that all we had last year? Was 1?
No, sir.
Okay. That an error then?
No, that's how the call was classified at dispatch. And most of the DWIs come out as traffic stops. So the DWIs are folded into the traffic stop numbers,
Oh,
and they're not
okay.
being changed. But I have another number. I think we had 45 or 50 DWI arrests last year, roughly, because I have the numbers of the summonses issued.
Oh, okay.
So those numbers are dispatch numbers as put in by dispatch is what those are.
Yeah, under traffic complaint, it was 1,487.
Yes, so that's
So
every
that's
traffic
probably where it's
complaint,
going.
CNI complaint. If they make any traffic stops at all, they're started as traffic complaints.
Okay. Well, I just thought that looked odd. I mean,
And that's what it is. Because I went back and asked after you asked me, I said, well, they're being put in as traffic stops
okay.
or traffic complaints.
Thank you. That's all I had.
All right. Mr. Lucas?
My only question was about the health plan, and I think Mr. Brubaker had addressed that accordingly.
Only one you have? I guess my question is for Mr. Sanders. In your report, there's a paragraph about budgeting to include a mini excavator for city so the staff can complete grave excavations. Are we not currently under contract to have a third party do that?
They sold out, and we still have some continuation on that. I think I have to look at the date on that, but something we're looking at on that when it terminates.
Well, I think, I for one would like to see some kind of financial analysis that would show how it makes sense to have a mini excavator and then the labor and maybe a truck or whatever you have to do grave openings, because that's a lot of money sitting around to do 0 in December,
Well, I would
which is
try
why
to-
we always contracted it. So if you're saying now we need to start doing it, I think we need to see the numbers on why it would make sense to do that.
I can do that. But I also wanted to mention, that setting around, we would have a lot of times that we would utilize that throughout the street department that would be beneficial. We sometimes try to borrow utilities they have too, but they've been keeping those in service pretty heavy, so it's difficult to access them. So we have a lot of times that we make use of one as well. So I'm trying to say we would blend that. It wouldn't be just sitting out there in between grave openings.
Who would do the grave opening then?
Mike Legel, our cemetery sexton, is operator trained, so he could do work. And actually, he inquired about doing it, so it wouldn't be something we're pushing it for. Something they could look. So that's why.
Sure. All right. Well, I look forward to seeing that analysis.
Okay.
Anyone else? Mr. Kimmons?
No, thank you.
Okay. Is there anything else to come in front of the council? All right. So if there's nothing else, entertain a motion to adjourn from regular session to work session followed by a closed session. Or motion to that effect.
So moved.
And a second.
Second?
Second?
Been motioned and seconded. Roll call, please.
Jeffrey,
Yes.
Brubaker,
Yes.
Kimmons,
Yes.
Lucas.
Yes.
All right. We are adjourned from regular session, and we will open the work session. Move to that agenda. And number one on the work session agenda is number one, a new ordinance regulating the smoking of marijuana in public places.
I can address that, Mayor. This is a first draft of an ordinance to deal with smoking marijuana in public places. And this draft, I borrowed liberally from the Clean Air Act, which was enacted after the state legislature passed no smoking of tobacco in the state of Missouri. And this ordinance has been circulated to staff. And I've received a lot of comments from staff, which I think will lead to some additional additions and perhaps some deletions in it. We wanted to present it to City Council at this point to see what your all's opinion would be of going forward with this sort of an ordinance. As stated in the memo that went along with the ordinance in the package, we as a city are given the authority under Amendment 3 to regulate the time and place of smoking or consumption of marijuana. And this is what this is directed towards. And I can perhaps, let me tell you a couple of the things that I know we're going to include section 6-5 of our ordinances has to do with the consumption of alcohol in the city. And that section has some additional locations that are considered public places that were not in this draft, such as the park, streets, sidewalks, that sort of thing. And it seems to me that if it's consistent for the regulation of alcohol, it would be equally consistent for marijuana consumption. I'm going to include a definition of marijuana that perhaps is broader than just the term of marijuana because there are other consumables that go into this.
Sure.
And then I think we're going to include in our definitions, in addition to smoking, the amendment also says that we can regulate the consumption of marijuana. And so there will be other forms of consumption rather than smoking. But we'll bring something back that will incorporate staff changes, but that's where we sit right now with it.
All right, comments? I think you answered the question that I had, which was I didn't see anything about regulation in the park and thought that was highly inconsistent to not have alcohol consumption and then allow marijuana consumption in the park. But you're saying that's going to be addressed.
Yes.
That would be a requirement for me to vote for it at least. Anyone else? Anyone opposed to moving that forward? I guess it's really the beginning, so I wouldn't be in favor of it as it is written, but if it's added to and we're going to see a new copy, then.
Okay.
All right. All right, that'll move forward. Moving number 2, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute a cooperative agreement for tourism promotion services.
Yes, Mayor, this is an annual service agreement for tourism promotion with the Moberly Chamber of Commerce. It's been renewed quite a few years now. We did last year create a master services agreement through the city and the CID. This is an additional agreement, so we continue to have that master agreement and tourism promotional services. Most of the terms and conditions are same as last year's.
All right, questions, anyone? Is there a number change from one year to the other?
We're at 85,200
From
on the new one. What was it? About the same. Yeah, it's flat.
It's exactly the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think 1 year it went down during COVID, and then we authorized that amount later on.
Okay.
Is that right? So it's been pretty close for a while.
All right, questions, anyone? Anyone opposed to moving that forward? Hearing no opposition, that'll move forward to the next meeting. Moving on to number 3, a request for closing of certain streets in the town area. I assume that is what it's saying in support of the 2023 Junction.
Yes, Mayor. Megan's here, chamber, to go through that event and the street closure request.
All right, thank you.
I put a map up there too, Megan. Green light.
There we go. Okay. This is the same street request for closure that we submitted last year. So our event footprint is indicated in the highlighted areas. The coral kind of color is Junk Junction. That is primarily on Reed Street. The Gussmacher is still located on Williams, depending on the condition of the auditorium parking lot, what construction's going on, or if they think the auditorium parking lot is usable this year, even though it wasn't last year. We are showing that as being Gussmacher space. And then there was a kid zone set up last year in Parks and Rec parking lot. We've not secured a volunteer partner to run the kid zone this year, but that's something we're working on. The public consumption area is all in the shaded white on the map. So people can purchase a drink from one of our downtown businesses or the beer garden. We did have one street vendor participate last year and walk through the event space. We do have 2 areas again this year that will be closed to through traffic, only available for emergency use. And so that will be Clark and Coates. Those areas will be monitored with street patrol at the end of the streets so that we can move things if police or fire need to get out of downtown. We anticipate this event growing again. We do already have vendors sending in applications to participate. I think we've received 16 at this time. The Gus Macker Conference will be held on February 9th and 10th. And so after that conference is held, we'll be able to open registration for basketball teams. We are already in progress of securing referees, if you know anyone who'd like to referee. Any questions?
I have several, but
Mhm.
on Clark Street, I wasn't
Sure.
clear because you got it's kind of
It's hatched.
right. So
Yeah.
you're
So
going to
it'll
have
be-
vendors in
no.
front of the fennel.
No, that's Coates Street. So
Well,
Coates
on your
and Clark.
description, it says North Clark. So
Right. So there's no vendors on Clark Street and there are no vendors on Coates Street. They are just closed or through traffic.
I said,
We have safety problems at our cross streets. So that's why you see 4th Street, 5th Street, Clark Street closed to through traffic so that people don't come zipping through on a cross street and the pedestrian traffic doesn't stop on Reed.
so I guess I would assume then that fennel's not really integral to Jump
Fennel
Junction.
will be used this year in some capacity, most likely. It's not our event, but it will be something hosted by MACC. So we have been working to connect to the Fennel with our basketball footprint. There is also a new event added on this weekend from 4th Street Theater. The 4th Street Players are going to have a film festival on Friday and Saturday night. That will give people something else to do while they're in downtown. It will be at the auditorium and at the 4th Street Theater.
Anyone?
I know that there's been a few businesses that have addressed the street closure issue, and I am a small business owner, so I am obviously I understand those concerns. Is there anything that's been addressed, or anything that we can do for those that particularly don't want this to happen in front of their business, or maybe it makes their business suffer? And I understand that we're, obviously we're bringing a lot of people to town and we're doing a lot of good things, but also, I'm kind of understand those concerns as well. So I think we're going to hear from one of those here in a minute, but I was curious on if there's anything that's been addressed or that we could do.
We're not sure where else to put the basketball tournament. When we initially reached out to host the Gus Macker, we identified Coates Street as a location that we wanted to play basketball. That was not approved by police and fire for our use because it closes down too much of the through traffic. And there are 2 courts as part of Gus Macker that cannot be driven on. The remainder of the courts are just tape on the ground. So we can make some adjustments. They can drive around a basketball goal. Police, fire sirens will get people off of the streets. We don't have a better solution as where to locate them. We try and work around any customers that are coming to businesses, move the cones whenever we can move them, let traffic through. But once the courts go down, the Dream Court and the top men's court, we're locked. Those take a team of volunteers to put them in place. So last year across Williams, the parking lot between Burrell and the Historical Society, it's public, it's accessible from Clark Street. It was able to be used for the businesses on that end of Williams. And then on the other end, we've got the EDC and the Brick down on that corner, and there is a parking lot that's able to be used there as well. Is it ideal? No, it's not. But we hope that the businesses can get us any changes they have so we can help push it out. We do send letters. So each business received 2 letters in the mail, and then they were hand delivered a letter as well. At least 1. Typically they receive 2.
Is there any restriction to any of the businesses doing an outside type product.
We've actually encouraged that some of our businesses that are impacted come into the footprint somewhere. If it's a barbershop, hair salon, there's lots of things the kids these days like. So
Sure.
feathers or highlights or numbers or whatever. But it's their business and it's their choices. So we do not put any vendors on sidewalks so that our police and trash service have that completely open for them to make paths up and down the street. So any business that's located on Williams, we would have to adjust where we put them, but that is something that can be done.
Thank you.
I guess I have a couple more. Number
Sure.
one, I'm looking through this. There was somewhere in here that was a request for the building at the corner of
Yes.
Williams
So
for a hospitality. What's that going to entail? And
it's the
are we
same.
properly insured for the liability of something like that?
We have event insurance. So does Guestmacher. We've used the building now. This will be the third year if we're approved for it. So that's where referees and our timekeepers, scorekeepers, referees all go to get lunch, breakfast.
So it's not like an open hospitality.
No,
it's just
no,
for
no,
those-
no. It's only for our volunteer group, but there are probably 100 or so people that run in and out of it all day. And then police and fire did set up a headquarters in the other side. So 220 was police fire headquarters, 218 was hospitality.
What's the deadline for applying to be a food vendor for something like this?
We're applying to be a food vendor. Have an application open? Maybe.
Okay, so there's
yeah. And that's limited, so we only take one or two of each variety. We did hear back from some of our downtown restaurants last year, so we will try and eliminate a couple of types of food and mix it up a little bit more so as not to overlap.
you don't name in here who the beer garden is run by.
So we've not gotten complete approval from Knights of Columbus and the Eagles, but that is who was our garden last year.
Okay. Okay.
They didn't put the big tent up though because they couldn't figure out how to do it in the street.
So you're not talking about a tent where they're driving stuff into the
They
street.
actually, we were using them as a roadblock on Fifth Street so that cars wouldn't come around the roadblocks. We use every single cone we can get our hands on to block the streets. So using trailers or big tents at the end of the streets or alleys is how we keep the event footprint safe so no one can drive.
I guess this would come out of the recommendation from PD, but is there a necessity to have security for this event? Okay, so that's how many blocks? 4 blocks, 3 officers, 1 per block.
And then we hire overnight security to cover the night shift, and they are physically, Signal 88 is physically walking the streets because vendors are set up all overnight.
Yeah.
And the Guestmacher equipment and tables and goals are all out too.
That's all the questions I have. Anyone else? None? Anyone opposed to moving that forward?
No.
Is there anyone here to speak to that? Please come forward and give your name and address. Did you fill a card out? Well, just go ahead. You can do it afterwards and give it to the clerk. That's the procedure.
All right, I'm here. Well, obviously the brick, reason the brick closing on our street. We gave, the first year, gave it a, just see how it would react and how well business would do. The second year didn't get us any better. It creates a mess for our customers. Our customers normally are an older crowd, and the parking. And once they've had to be away, which they've had to be away for 3 weeks now, it creates a problem getting them back. If they find another place to go eat, you don't lose them forever, but you spend 2, 3, 4 weeks getting them back. And I just think there could be another solution to putting it in front of our business that Saturday and Sunday is our main days.
So do you have any plans for doing anything as far as specific to the event?
No, our kitchen actually can, our Saturdays and Sundays, with no events in front of it, of course, our kitchen can only handle what we can do on Saturday and Sunday anyway. So bringing us extra business doesn't do us any good. We're as busy as we can handle on Saturdays and Sundays on a normal time. So no, we don't plan on doing anything extra.
All right.
Have you ever tried doing anything outside or getting anything approved to do anything outside as far as a,
Oh, we looked into it, but it just didn't make any sense.
you know,
Cost for us.
would it be beneficial if, and I don't even know if this is even an option, but would it be beneficial if the street were to close, at a later time or
I mean, that would definitely help, but it would help more. You pick a different spot to put it. I mean, we
Right.
gave it 2 years, and it just hoping that we would see more business generated. It didn't help us at all. Matter of fact, it hurt us.
Thank you for your
But
comment.
I'll take any, any recommendations or anything. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you. Excuse me. Okay. Anyone opposed to moving that forward at this point?
No.
All right. Hearing none, that'll move forward for the next meeting. And next item is number 4, resolution authorizing the city manager to enter in an agreement with Brickton Group.
Yes, Mayor, this is a project that we've been working on for quite some time. Brickton Group is a hotel developer and operator interested in developing the hotel project downtown for a 55-room hotel. Just last month, we did put together that grant application, trying to get some grant funds for this project since it was negatively impacted by COVID when we started it. We hope to hear back here in a couple months on that. The Downtown CID did evaluate this and is willing to support the first couple phases of this project to really get us to that point where we're negotiating with a franchise, assisting in obtaining financing and equity partners. Be happy to answer any questions on phase 1 or phase 2 scope.
Questions, anyone?
do you have any insight as to how many projects this company's been involved in or any history on the company?
Yeah, we've done some due diligence, and Brickton Group's been around quite a bit. We actually started this conversation with them. Started the actual Hell company. Wyndham operates a teak style flag, and when we were talking to them, their Leavenworth property in Kansas that took an old school, did it into a hotel. They asked a few of operators of their hotels in other towns to see if they'd be interested. Brickton was one they thought would be a type of project. So that's how we got to them.
Good.
Anyone else? Hearing no other questions, does anyone oppose to moving that forward? That'll move forward to the next meeting. Moving to number 5, discussion of accepting government cost share funding.
This is funding we applied for including infrastructure and industrial park. Our goal was to extend McEwen Parkway down to past where it would intersect with Robertson Road as platted, and then also do that T intersection and also to tie Fowler over to Buchanan. So those are the 2 phases of that. We applied for 100% of the construction cost, was approximately $1.1 million, and we were facing around $333,000 engineering costs out of pocket if that was approved. Due to the tight selection process, they were only able to award 50% to us. So it leaves us at $555,000 roughly. So we're still be out of pocket, pushing $900,000 if we that project. However, we've feel like we that money forward. If we accept it now, we could move that money into match funds for another grant project that would do all of what we're asking for in the industrial park, along with the rest of the roads to the industrial park. We could complete them all if we're approved for that funding, and this funding could be used for match. I've talked to a representative from DED that is kind of administering this cost share money, our contact with that. She felt like that would work for this program. Also, person that is doing the DED administrative work for the industrial site grant felt like it could work for that as well. So other recommendation was to go ahead and accept this funding at this time as needs to be done in the short term. And they won't be announcing awards for the other grant that we're wanting to use this for match for until April. So we don't know where we're at, but we can accept this at this time. If we don't get the other grant and aren't able to use this funding, we could potentially bow out down the road. We can't make this work financially. But if we don't accept it now, we have no chance of using that towards the match.
Okay. Questions, anyone? I was reading somewhere in there, how does the actual land as an asset involve, how would it be involved in that second grant? Would it be?
Yes.
How explain that?
The value of the land, we have to get a third-party assessment. Some of the ground is owned by the city and some is owned by Moberly Holding Group. So we would have to make application, and so we're still looking into how the best, what format to do that would be. Economic development, city of Moberly be the end grant purposes of the land, and then the land would show its transfer, and that would be value as matched towards the total project. So if the ground, for example, was worth appraisal $3 million, we would show it transferring to that oversight organization, or that's going to be out of that group. That would be the value, whatever when that land transfers.
So a for-profit group can have that grant? Why would it not be more favor for the city being tax exempt?
It has to be we have to transfer to a 501c3. So it have to be like probably get NOMO involved or something like that as far as the holding of land, the receiving of land. Because EDC couldn't transfer, or Moberly Holding can't transfer it to a non-501c3. Neither could the city. So we're still doing some work on that to see how that would have to be set up legally.
Yeah, I'll just save those comments or questions till later, but
When we get that answer for you, I'll make it clear.
I'm not
for you
sure I'm in
that's the
favor of
intent.
that part. Questions, anybody else? All right, anybody opposed to move? Is there something to move forward with that, or we have to accept the initial?
This is authorizing acceptance of the governor's cost
Okay.
share for the
All right.
$550,000.
Anyone opposed to that? That'll move forward to the next meeting. Anything else to come in front of the council? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by aye.
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 We're adjourned. Thank you all for coming.